Hi everyone, welcome at Escape Trail. I'm here with Danika and Chris and Brier and also your little son. We hear them in the back in the tent and his name is Will. Today is a campsite highlight. So we're going to look at your E19 and your experience with that one. Okay, so maybe we start with the fact, how did you actually get this trailer?
We bought it secondhand. We were very fortunate from a lovely couple on Vancouver Island who'd really used it really minimally.
Yes.
They'd only had it for less than a year and I guess just didn't use it as much as they thought. So we really lucked in. It was next to new when we purchased it secondhand. And it was over a year ago now. So it was kind of at the peak of all the hysteria of everyone buying campers and everything with COVID. And so we were very, very fortunate to nab it when we did.
Very nice. Yeah. And Chris, you mentioned that you didn't actually have a towing vehicle at that time.
No, that's right.
So tell us a little bit about that one.
So we borrowed our friend's truck and we kind of got the hitch to the right level and we made the deal that day. We were pretty confident when we came over to the island that we were coming back on the ferry with the camper. So we got it all insured and hooked it up, and then we drove it to our house and then started going to the dealerships looking for a truck the next day. So it took a little while to find a truck that fit our budget and what we were looking for, and then but within a month we had our tow vehicle that we were happy with. Yeah.
So I can see it from here, Harrison. If you want to quickly swing over, this is a rather, I would say, good sized tow vehicle that will easily do for the Escape.
It has no problems towing the Escape.
Yeah.
It's a 2016 Tundra.
Beautiful.
And it's just been so easy to tow. Like you've got enough power to go over the Coquihalla and go over any hill. It's just a breeze to tow with. Yeah. No issue.
Awesome. And you're traveling with Will, and Will is 3 years old?
As of this week. Yes.
Nice. How does he take to camping?
Oh my gosh, he loves it.
It's adventure.
Adventure. We're going on an adventure. Yeah.
And you're mainly boondocking. So we are here today at Cultus Lake. Yeah. So if you look around, we see tons and tons of trees. No power at the campsite here. Yeah. So how do you manage with that?
Oh, it's easy. It's just seamless. I mean, we've got our propane system, all of our kind of cooking and hot water and the furnace all runs off propane. We don't even need the furnace because it's warm out, but we have the quick disconnect. We do all of our cooking outside. So we've actually got a Camp Chef stove that I've rigged up all the hoses to be on the quick disconnect system. So you just plug it in and it's easy. And then for all the electrical stuff, we've got the solar panel and the batteries, and it's definitely, even in a shaded area like this, where we can easily go a long weekend and not need to worry about power.
We've never run out. We've never, got to the point where we were
where we're
questioning whether we had power or not. We do try to conserve, turn the lights off and things like that. But
so who made breakfast today?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I usually make.
Let's have a look at how you set this up.
Sure.
So I see the propane quick connect over here. So you run the hose.
Yeah. And then you don't even need a regulator because this system will work off the low pressure off of the trailer's house regulator that's hooked up to the propane tanks. So we've removed the regulator. We've put on JIC to propane fitting here and hooked up to the quick disconnect. And the Camp Chef stove works just as if it would be plumbed into a 20-pound propane tank. And then we've got the barbecue here that we use kind of like for a little oven. So this is really handy because it can clasp shut when you want to take it apart and store it. And we did potato patties on there this morning, and then we did sausages on the frying pan.
I see you left a sausage for Harrison and myself.
Just two for you guys, yeah. Thank you. And then we did eggs on the iron there, so it was just easy.
So this looks like you can fold it, and do you store it in your truck or?
No, we actually put it underneath our bed.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's a little heavy, but I mean, it folds right up flat and it slides right underneath the bed inside.
Yeah. We bring it in through here because the back compartment is just, the back compartment is just slightly too not
short.
high enough
On the
to slide
outside,
it in.
yeah.
So we bring it in through the door and just slide it straight in
Underneath the
underneath.
bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very convenient.
And then you bought this one here secondhand, and maybe tell us about some of the options and features that were there that maybe you wouldn't have chosen if we had it built for you.
Yes, definitely. So definitely a contentious or a divisive topic is the power awning, I think, between a lot of escapees. We love the power awning. We initially were like, oh, we don't want the power awning, but it's so easy. It's very easy. So the only thing that we get a little bit anxious about sometimes if there was really heavy rain, but we don't typically leave it out. I mean, if we don't want water to kind of get on the camp chef, we might just bring it out maybe 3 or 4 feet. And it does have the feature where if it was very windy or it would retract on its own. And it's really easy. I'm confident setting it up myself, whereas maybe the manual one, I would be a little bit nervous doing it myself. I'm sure there's people out there that aren't, but so that came on it, and we're very happy it's there. The rims,
The alloy rims are
alloy
pretty
rims
nice.
are pretty nice, and we maybe would not have splurged for those, but they look fantastic. The AC we were a bit divided on. We still really haven't used it all that much, but the days that we did, we were very happy to have it. Like we had a couple really hot days in the interior, and it was very, very nice.
Well, even during the heat bubble that we had last month, we plugged in the camper and neighbors were using it to cool down. And so because the houses we stay in don't have AC.
Yes.
So they came over to evacuate into your escape.
That's right.
Little escape.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I see you have put a nice little lamp up here, and you connected this to the camper. There's a bit of a story to this lamp, right?
Yeah. So I'm sure they make them other places, but I grew up on the East Coast in New Brunswick and camped my entire childhood. And this was like the staple of every campsite in New Brunswick. It's a flower pot, and it's upended, and then they're handmade. So folks drill holes in all the little holes and put these little beads in. And the base is like the kind of the bottom of the pot, and it's just inverted and screwed in, and there's a light bulb in it. And it's super kitschy and very old. That's like at least 30, 35 years old. And the folks that made it, their like name and sticker are actually on the underside. So I've been meaning to reach out to them or their children and say, hey, did you know that this is now
Still in use?
And still in use. I actually have 2. So one for each end if we're feeling really
That's awesome. I like it. When we go around here, we have some bikes at the back. You're very outdoorsy, active people. So maybe tell us a little bit about the setup, what you're using, where you store Will's bike, and just a bit of a background here.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been really easy. This is kind of how we get around when we're camping. Is we'll park the camper, and then we don't generally take off too far in the vehicle, but we'll take our bikes out, and will be on his bike now, and we'll tow him if we have to. And the dog he runs along and stays with us. So it's a way that we can kind of explore and see around the campgrounds pretty quickly and easily. And so with the bike rack, it's a Thule bike rack for 2 bikes. And it'll handle electric bikes. It's got the bigger supports for larger tires. So we have our all mountain bikes that we put on there, and then we keep Will's little bike in the back of the truck. But someday we're gonna need to get a 3 bike rack because we'll run out of space soon enough.
That's a nice setup. And then we noticed you have a couple of stickers here, one of which is dedicated to your dog. I can see right here.
Named after Brier Island on the East Coast.
Nice.
So that's a little silhouette of the island. And then we've got some stickers of the places that we really care about
Now, in terms of how much you use the trailer, so you bought it in 2020.
Yeah.
So that was your first year with it. How many nights roughly would you have spent in it?
Around 65 or 68 nights that year.
Yeah.
Basically, we counted it from when we bought our tow vehicle. Because that's when we were actually able to start camping. So yeah, it was around 68 nights. Our longest stretch was like, I think 11 or 12 days for our trip.
That's not counting the nights I used it to quarantine after traveling and things like that.
Yeah.
I actually stayed in here to quarantine before moving back into the house.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're traveling with a dog, and your dog is not a small one.
No.
How is he? Where do you put him? And tell us about him.
So
Let's go over here.
we say that he's not a real dog because he's kind of a diva. I'm sure lots of people have big, sooky old dogs, which he is. He just needs space and he just needs to be comfortable. That's his main thing. So this bed fits perfectly. Actually, when we look on the inside of the camper, it fits really well, just right up by our bed. And he settles down quite well there. We've got this is like one of those beds that the moisture is supposed to not come up through it, but we just got a piece of runner and put it under it because just it does sometimes get damp, especially into the fall.
Yes.
Or the cold kind of comes up, and we have we have his food in little sealed containers in the camper, and we have a glow collars and stuff for him at night. Obviously, if you're just wandering around in the woods, he kind of blends in. But yeah, he's 9. Our previous camping experiences were in the tent, and anyone that has a dog that's like slept in a tent that is at all protective, it's all night, it's reacting at everything, right?
Yeah.
And so in here, he doesn't hear anything, right? It's quiet.
Yeah.
So even with the windows open, typically he's more comfortable. So he's not waking us up all night, defending us.
What we noticed is because he smells you, right? It's like home.
Yeah.
For him, it's not a big unknown.
Yeah.
Just having you around, being in the same space.
Yeah.
He's a pack
Nice.
dog. He needs to be wherever we are. So he doesn't sleep outside on his own. He's right up with us.
Right. He does treat it like when he's inside the camper, inside the truck, it's like when you leave them inside for a period of time, like they're comfortable in there. If you have him inside a tent, it's not the same. He can't be comfortable. He can't settle down in a tent like that. He just hears everything around, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall we have a look inside? Yeah. I'll go after you too.
Sure.
Some more lights on.
So I am a family man. We have 5 kids.
Oh, no way.
So the first thing I notice is over here. Tell us about how you set this up for Vera.
Yes. So we got the
Block it
camper. Oh,
Maybe
yes.
you can
It's
stand
a
on this
crypt.
side and
Yeah,
I'll
of
move
course.
over here then.
We got the camper when Will was just over a year old, and so any new parent knows that sleep is important. You're like, please just sleep. And so, and when you're camping at 5 a.m, sometimes it's bright, and it can get cold at night. So I'm not a seamstress. I made these. That's basically blackout fabric. And so it just goes like over the blinds, and I have magnets that line it up to the screws. And so it just magnetizes over the windows, and then so it comes off and on, and the blinds pull right down over them. And then I've also did a blackout curtain that pulls across, and it has magnets sewn in, so it just sticks right to the wall, and
that's just a tension rod.
and this is a tension rod. So it is a crypt in here. It's very dark. And because he was little when we started camping, we also have the little white noise machine down in here that plugs right into the USB underneath the table here. And so we just keep that on low. Some campgrounds are a bit louder, and just kind of keeps things nice and quiet. And this is his pack and play. He's 3, and so pretty soon he's going to be busting out of this, and the dog's whining. We'll have to do a transition to a just laying in the bed, which is fine. But Brier Bear. but usually typically this is down like this 90% of the time. We eat most of our meals outside, but it is fairly easy in the winter, especially when we're camping or if it's really yucky and we do want to eat inside. This just folds up very quickly. We toss it on the back bed, bring the table up and eat our meals here. One thing that I do think we probably would have been down for is the is it the pedestal table? I can't remember what exactly what it's called. Springfield.
Yeah.
So I think that for folks that are really going up and down a lot and don't really care if they have all this like unobstructed space, because it's kind of unobstructed right now. But from my understanding, the pedestal, it's kind of it has to stay stationary.
It's one
right?
pedestal leg and that will stay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I would have been definitely down for that, because then it's just push it down, use it. But I mean, even without that, it's very easy to put up and take down. This is the toy section cupboard. Here comes Brier. This is the toy cupboard. There's some other folks that I follow on Instagram. I think they're West Coast Mini Explorers, or I think is their name, and they have 2 children, and they're like, I think, living in their camper. It's amazing. But they actually turned the bottom cupboard below the fridge into a toy cupboard, so they took the door right off, and the kids can just free range grab toys. So most of the time, the toys are sticks and rocks and
outside.
slugs.
Nice. This is a beautiful arrangement here.
Yeah. Brier.
Brier joined us. That's just fine.
Oh, yes.
So maybe, Chris, tell us a little bit about, see, underneath your bed, there is a ventilation device, I call it.
Yeah. So this one we just got from IKEA, and it's just one of those slat supports for under, instead of a box spring for those IKEA beds. And then I removed the frame and then stapled it all these rubber bumpers, stapled them all down, and they act as a bit of a cushion. And then it also allows proper ventilation underneath the mattress. And then we also coated all the plywood in a Glove-It product, an epoxy that is flexible so that it can't absorb any moisture.
So when you 2 camp, or you 3 and the dog, you often camp in fall as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how do you manage moisture?
Yeah, so we try to keep some windows open and without letting out all the warm air, and then we all, like I said, all the bedding is vented properly, so we can get proper airflow underneath and around any of the warm spots. And usually we just go around in the morning and wipe up all the windows and just make sure we sop up any of the pools of water that accumulate in the corners. Yeah, and then we also, I don't know what you did with it, but we have one of those small desiccant dehumidifiers. It was right here.
Yeah. I just tucked it up in here.
Does that run on 12 volt?
No, this is just a passive. So we keep one of these
Keep it here.
right there, and then when it's at capacity, it turns green, and then you plug it into a 120 volt power supply, and there's a little heating element inside that dries out the desiccant, and then you can reuse it.
We do have one though that plugs in as well, that
Yeah.
we'll use sometimes as well.
We'll use that from time to time,
But
not when we're off grid.
no. And the moisture really hasn't been I mean, if you keep the window cracked and the furnace is going, if you keep the fan circulating too.
We have a max fan in here.
Yeah, the max fan, and then it definitely gave us comfort to do that coating on the bed, on the wood, because we know, like, if we did miss a spot where condensation went down, that it wasn't going to cause any mildew or mold or anything. But it's really not that bad at all.
I compliment you how tidy your trailer is. Having a child, that's amazing.
It's kind of like you knew you were coming.
It's kind of like that, Don't open the bathroom.
Very good. So basically a pre-owned trailer, but it's nearly new, right?
Yeah.
It's as new. And you made a few modifications to make it work for you.
Yeah, we've done quite a few, actually. Yeah.
You want to hear about the other ones?
Yeah. Are they on the
Like,
outside or on the inside?
I don't know if you can see it, but right all the way underneath in the back like my number one modification that I would recommend is putting on an expansion tank. And that just allows your water pump to go just on and off and have a controlled pressure within your water system. And it kind of conserves power. That way your water pump doesn't go on and off with every time you open and close the faucet. And it allows like a 2-gallon expansion tank you can flush the toilet 3 or 4 times throughout the night and the water pump doesn't turn on. So it's just quieter. The water pump reacts quieter. It doesn't use so much power on the startups. And it just makes much better flow with the faucets.
That is very interesting. And you two installed it yourself?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Just at Home Depot, you get an expansion tank and it's easy. It's one of the most easiest mods to do, and I couldn't recommend it enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. We have a residential grade filter too under the sink that makes the water taste a bit better too. Because sometimes if it's in the holding tank, especially if it's warm, it can kind of get that holding tank kind of taste. So that is put in underneath the sink as well. It's a pretty simple,
That's a simple one.
Yeah.
And then I see you have a few holders here underneath just to use some
Hooks and key.
hooks. Yeah.
Hooks everywhere, especially in the rainy weather. Hooks. And all hooks in the bathroom just
Like
to dry things out well. And
beside the bed, we kind of put these little dividers for storage. For the electrical system, we put in Victron, a solar charger, as well as the smart shunt and a DC-DC charger. So we can charge the battery banks off of the tow vehicle properly. And the solar charging unit just works so much better, and it Bluetooth to the app on your phone, so you can kind of monitor your power consumption and how much the solar panels are working. And that way, in the future, when we do upgrade to lithium-ion batteries, all the solar chargers, and I've got the infrastructure in place to handle lithium-ion batteries.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one piece at a time. Yeah. It's not cheap.
No. That's nice. Any other modifications?
Just simple things like putting touch lights in spaces, like under the bench here where the shoes are, there's a touch light inside, so it's just easier to find things in the mess. So just like little things.
I noticed you use Birkenstock.
Oh,
Same here.
Birkenstock and Blundstones. It's like the
West Coast staple.
the uniform.
That's very nice.
Yeah. But I guess part of my thing was whenever we got the camper, we wanted to run out right away and get all the bins and the totes and the lights and everything right away. And sometimes some of the things we bought initially didn't quite work. We used it for a couple weekends and we're like, oh, it should be a little bigger, or it should be a soft-sided tote or whatever. So just use it for a little bit, use the camper for a little bit and then figure out where you want to put things, and don't do anything permanent would be my suggestion. These hooks that, you can pull the tab and remove it is best, because we've repositioned things a couple times to really be oh, that's where it should go.
Yes.
So don't put holes in the walls or anything like that. Try it out first before you start.
And read the Escape Forum is
the Escape Forum is so
a
good.
plethora of brilliant knowledge. All the mods that we've done here is because we saw them on the forum. Mm-hmm. So I can't give credit to all the people that put these on, but they're not my ideas. These are things that I've seen on the Escape Forum and all the users out there. Yeah.
Very nice. And just for the viewers, you're referring to the RV Life one? Yeah. Which is the one that has been around for quite some time. Mm-hmm. There's also the Escape Forum that we run. Mm-hmm. It's quite new. So this one here with the history, that's the RV Life one, which is excellent.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. They help each other out, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, just such a supportive community.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Any other things you want to add to maybe tips, tricks and tips? We covered quite some ground today.
Yeah.
So we looked at how we travel with a pre-owned trailer and also with a child and a dog, and how to do modifications.
Yeah.
And we're very happy for you too that you were able to purchase one and go right out and camp,
Yeah.
and that it works for your lifestyle.
Definitely. It
beautiful.
was easy to just start camping with it right away.
Yeah.
And then that was fun for us to kind of add extras, right? Like even towing, like the only thing, we didn't need to do it, but we have a more comfortable tow we added sumo springs under the leaf springs there on the tow vehicle. So that just helps with the tow, and going over bumps are just much more smooth. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Will.
We need him in our engineering team. He's a resource. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, I think we go outside. We do maybe a final shot
Sure,
there and
yeah.
say goodbye to our viewers. Thanks everyone for joining us today with Danika and Chris and little Will and Brier. We had a lot of fun. We learned from you. We are very grateful that you took your time and gave us an insight into your traveling experience.
thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Hope it was of value to you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Escape Trailer, we are
Built for you.